You've entered the story they tried to bury. What you hear next was never meant to be found. This is Grim Whisper Studios. The first time it happened, I thought it was a dream. I woke up in the motel room, room 103, same flickering neon sign outside, same static on the old TV, same strange tick-tick-tick from the bathroom faucet that wouldn't stop dripping. Outside, the world looked like early morning, dimensoins colorless, like the sky had forgotten how to turn blue. I sat up, heart already pounding for reasons I couldn't explain. My phone on the nightstand showed 3:17 a.m. Not a missed call, not a single message, just like yesterday. I glanced at the notepad beside it, a note I didn't remember writing. Don't open the door. Don't answer the knock. A hard knock shook the door. 3 times. Slow. Measured. As if whoever was outside already knew I was awake. I didn't move. Just stared at the wood grain, breathing shallow. Then came the whisper. Not from behind the door, from under the bed. It said my name. The same voice I'd heard before. The same whisper I'd heard yesterday, and the day before that. But I didn't check under the bed, not anymore, because the first time I did, I saw myself, bleeding, still breathing. I shut my eyes, willed it all away. When I opened them, it was daylight. I was in room 103, the same flickering neon sign outside. Phone said 3:17 a.m. again. This time I didn't scream. I just sat there. The sound of the faucet dripping in the bathroom was slower now, like it was thinking between each drop. Tick, tick, tick. I tried leaving once, packed my bag, walked out the door, made it to the parking lot. But when I turned around to look back at the motel, it wasn't behind me. It was in front of me again. Same building, same red vacancy sign, same room number painted crooked on the door. 103. I don't even remember checking in. I don't remember why I came here. I opened my suitcase. It had only one thing inside, a Polaroid, a picture of me, standing in front of the motel, eyes blacked out with marker, with a single word written in sharp ink on the bottom. Run. But where? When I tried smashing the window, it shattered like normal glass and reformed in slow motion, like time was rewinding itself. And the worst part, every time I tried to stay awake, tried to fight sleep, it always dragged me back to that exact moment. Waking up at 3:17 a.m., same bed, same whisper, same knock. But now the whispers are getting louder. They don't just say my name anymore. They say, you were the first. The first what? I don't know what I'm trapped inside. A loop? A punishment? Or someone's experiment? And then tonight, I checked under the bed again. This time there were 2 of me. One bleeding, one smiling. I crawled backward from the bed, trembling, watching those 2 faces beneath it. The bleeding version of me stared blankly. The smiling one whispered something I couldn't hear. Then they both vanished, like smoke pulled into a vacuum. I didn't sleep after that. I couldn't. I sat on the edge of the bed watching the clock tick forward. 3:18, 3:19, 3:20 a.m. For the first time, time moved. But at 3:33 a.m., everything stopped again. The lights froze mid-flicker. The drip from the faucet hung in the air like a suspended raindrop. Even the shadows stopped moving. And then, the TV turned on by itself. Static. Always static. But behind the noise, a voice crackled through. It said, "Only the guilty loop." And then a new image appeared. A grainy black and white video. Me, standing in the same motel room, talking to someone off screen. I turned the volume up. The video me said, "This place doesn't exist, not really. It's a marker, a scar in time." Someone left it open. The screen glitched. My own eyes bled black. Then came that voice again, deeper this time. You let it in. Now you keep it in. The room went dark. My phone buzzed. A new message. No number, just a single line. Check the mirror. I turned toward the bathroom and saw a hand pressed against the inside of the mirror. My hand. But I was still standing across the room. My reflection smiled and whispered, one of us has to stay. I didn't want to move, didn't want to breathe, but something about that reflection, about the way it smiled without blinking, made my skin crawl from the inside out. I walked toward the mirror slowly, every step heavier than the last. The hand on the other side moved in sync with mine, until it didn't. I stopped, but the reflection didn't. It tilted its head, watched me like prey. Then it mouthed the words, "You're out of time." I turned and ran, out the door, across the lot, into the woods behind the motel. No map, no phone signal. But the trees weren't natural. They bent toward me, groaned like old wood under pressure, and every direction looked the same, like someone copied and pasted the same patch of forest over and over. Eventually I came across something, a burned-out car, still smoking. I stepped closer. License plate read 103RM. I looked inside. There was a skeleton in the driver's seat, head tilted toward me, lips frozen mid-scream, and clutched in its bony hand. A Polaroid. Same as mine, same word on the bottom, run. But this one had a second word added in blood-red ink, smeared across the chest. Too late. I turned and bolted back toward the motel, but it was already there again, in front of me, glowing faintly in the mist, like it never left. Back in room 103, the TV was on. This time, it wasn't static. It was live footage of me sleeping. I stared at the TV, watching myself toss and turn in the motel bed, but I was standing, wide awake. I waved my hand. The version of me on screen didn't react. But then something else did. A dark figure stepped into the frame. Tall, faceless, limbs too long to be human. It stood at the edge of the bed, staring down at the sleeping me. My chest tightened. It slowly raised one hand and pointed, straight at the camera, straight at me. Then the screen went black. I grabbed my phone, still no service, and checked the time. 3:17 a.m. again. But this time the knock came before I could even process it. 3 knocks, slow, heavy, deliberate. Then the doorknob began to turn on its own. I grabbed the chair and shoved it under the handle, backed away, every cell in my body screaming to run, to escape. But the room, this cursed room, wrapped around me like a coffin. Then I heard it, from inside the walls, voices, layered, hundreds of them, all whispering the same thing. You stayed too long. Now you belong. I turned toward the mirror again, but there was no reflection this time, only darkness, and a pair of glowing red eyes in the center. Then, a hand reached out of the glass. It wasn't mine. It grabbed my wrist, cold and solid, and pulled hard. And in that 1 second, I swear I saw them all. Versions of me. Hundreds. Trapped. Screaming. Frozen in different moments of the same loop. Each one reliving their last breath. I pulled back just in time, falling hard onto the floor. But the mirror didn't crack. It grinned. I crawled backward, eyes fixed on the mirror. It wasn't glass anymore. It was a window, a gate. And behind it, all those trapped versions of me were still watching. Some pounded against the inside. Some just wept. One smiled and whispered, "You're next." The room around me flickered like a dying signal. Ceiling, floor, walls. Everything shook like it was trying to hold itself together and failing. Then came a loud clang, metallic, final, like a lock turning inside the earth itself. I stood slowly and realized something that froze my blood. There was no door anymore. Room 103 had no exit, only four walls, no windows, no handles. I wasn't in the room. I was the room. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. Again. A new message appeared. It's your turn to trap the next one. My head spun. I stumbled to the bed, and there, lying on the sheets, was a new Polaroid. A girl, wide-eyed, terrified, standing outside the motel, and on the back one word in my own handwriting. Welcome. I screamed, pounded the walls, pleaded with the voices inside them, but they only laughed. Outside, through the one-way glass, I saw her, the girl, dragging her suitcase, checking in at the front desk, room 103. And suddenly, I was behind the mirror, smiling, waiting, because the loop doesn't break, it only resets.